It's gonna be good, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be better, I can't wait. Making my move, live for the day, sing like a bird, fly like a plane. Come spill with me, Jenny D. Jenny D. Jenny D.
Hello, my beautiful people. Thank you for joining me with another episode on Spill With Me, Jenny D podcast. I am here today at Clair Health. I thank you, Clair Health, for being my sponsor and partnering with me. Today, we're joined by Rachel, and she's a licensed social worker who specializes in outpatient psychiatry and mental health services at Clair Health. She also co-leads a monthly mental health support group that helps people find community, understanding, and tools to better manage life's challenges. This past month, that group focused on holiday stress. So today, Rachel is here to share some insights on how we can all protect our mental well-being and find peace during the hectic holiday season. Thank you for being here today, Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me.
We were talking about this before, but I think during the holidays is when it kind of spikes. Have you seen that?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes. Everybody experiences it. There are so many factors that amplify our stress during the holidays, especially in this area of the United States, because we have the weather to contend with as well.
Yes, yeah, we are in the Pittsburgh area. So the holidays are supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. I was going to start singing that, but I don't think my voice isn't up to par. But they can also be stressful for so many people. What makes this time of year so challenging for our mental health?
So a lot of factors do. And some of the big ones, I think that no matter who you are or where you are, some of the things that everybody experiences are some extra demands on our finances,
yes,
on our time, and on our travel.
Right.
So whether that is us buying gifts or trying to see friends and family that are in town, or going to extra events, or traveling to see those friends and family for Thanksgiving or any other holiday event, or running around to every different store to get the perfect gift, right? Or the perfect dish, or whatever that may be. So there's a lot of extra demands on all of those.
You definitely hit it on the spot, because we do. And the word perfect, you always want to get that perfect gift for someone during the holidays. And sometimes, the littlest things we don't even think about that people will just take, making a homemade gift or something. And then we're adding more stress. Wait, never mind.
More time, right? Where do we have time to do that?
Yeah. Scratch that.
Right, exactly.
What are some of the common signs that holiday stress is starting to take a toll emotionally and physically? Like, how would you know? Like, if you had a friend or a neighbor or someone you worked with, what are some of the signs you would be able to notice?
Yeah, so often I'll hear things like, we say things all the time, like, I just don't have time for that. But we hear it more during this time. We become more fatigued, I think, because one, we don't prioritize our rest as much or our sleep. But also, we just have so many more demands. We're trying to fit so much more into our day and our weeks and even our weekends, right? We're going to extra parties, and we're doing those shopping trips after work and whenever we can fit them in. So we really don't have a lot of extra downtime to recharge that battery that, like, our brain and our body, right? So we feel extra fatigued. And usually the first thing that will go is our self-care. So if you're somebody that likes to go to the gym or likes to get your nails done or likes to sit on the couch and watch a movie to unwind or whatever self-care is for you, that's usually the first thing that goes. Because we tend to prioritize everything else. Yes. And so that's the first thing to go out the window. So when I ask people, like when they say, I just don't have time and I feel so stressed, I'll say, well, are you still doing those things that are important to you? And they'll say, well, I haven't been going to the gym lately. I just don't have time. So and when in fact, those are the things that actually help recharge our battery. But usually that's the first thing that goes out the window.
So we're not putting ourselves first.
Exactly.
We end up prioritizing. And that, you're right, that would add a lot of stress.
Yes, it
because
does.
We don't feel like you said, I feel like Thanksgiving it comes so fast.
Yes.
And I feel like it's late this year. So when I see that people have their lights out and their trees out, I'm like, that stresses me out, Rachel.
I know.
I'm like, wait a minute. Do I need to get home and do all my thing?
But
you have to think to yourself, what do you want? Don't be worried about, your neighbor, Clark Griswold's out there putting all the lights on.
And you bring up a great point, Jenny, is that comparison, right? Is another piece of why we get so stressed during this season, is that we see what everybody else is doing around us and we feel like, oh, I have to keep up. They have their lights up, well, oh my gosh, the inside of their house must be completely decorated too. And I haven't even thought about it. And that builds the pressure. And so that comparison just adds to it.
It's almost like a building block. You're just adding more layers to yourself.
I'm
not getting my nails done. My neighbors are doing it.
I know.
I'm eating all, the bad food because I'm stressed out.
Exactly.
I'm tired. So, this is one of the questions too. Like, some people feel guilty admitting that they're not enjoying the holidays. So what would you say to somebody's being a Grinch or a Scrooge?
A Scrooge. I'm going to say, don't we hear that all the time? So here's the thing. We don't all love the holidays. And it's okay to say that. I think that people are afraid to admit it because so many people say, well, I just love it. And I, the lights and the weather and but it is so stressful. And for some people, maybe they do love pieces of the holidays, but because of maybe losing a loved one and the holiday reminds you of, your grief and missing them. And that really takes a lot of, the fondness out of it. Or maybe, you're not a cold weather person. And so you just associate,
you're not looking forward,
you just associate the holidays with cold weather, and that is not fun for you.
So,
So, I think a lot of times people, it has nothing to do with the actual holidays themselves. It has a lot to do with a lot of things that are around in this time of the year for a lot of different reasons. And so it's an association thing a lot of the time. And so that's okay. We don't have to love this time of year. But what I will say is try to find pockets of joy.
I love that.
So if you don't like the weather this time of year, unfortunately, we do live in the Northeast, and it is going to be cold and snowy and gray. I know.
Like when you're kids, you always get that white Christmas.
I know. So, how often do we actually get it?
I know. We haven't really.
No, we haven't. But, find a way to, can you go on a vacation during this time of year to get that glimpse of warm weather to kind of give yourself a break? We know we have a lot of snowbirds here, and that's one of the reasons why they get some relief, But can you do something that kind of brings the warm weather to you, or a reminder of that? Can you really just hone in on drinking a warm drink, like your favorite coffee every morning, and just love that warm coffee every single morning? Or can you just really hone in on being around your friends and family and getting that extra time and community and celebration, and focus on that as much as you can?
That's so true.
And try your best to not, fall into the trap of focusing on the bad weather.
And what I think too, Rachel, is, my personal is the timeline. Like, I feel like I'm on the crunch time.
Yes.
Like, you got to have everything done by Christmas Eve.
Yes.
The wrapping, the presents, this, that, and that to me would give me anxiety.
Absolutely.
I feel like that was the biggest thing for me. It was, yes, the decorating, and because I do all the decorating inside and out because I love to have control over it. So that's the other thing. So now I'm making more stress for myself because I don't want anybody else helping me. Maybe just with the tree, but not everything else I want to do myself.
Yeah, so we talk about control, and you use the perfect word. No, you use the perfect word. So control is a huge aspect of mental health and why our stress and our anxiety is so high at this time of year is that, we want to have control of everything because our anxiety tells us if I have control, I know what to expect and I feel more comfortable.
Right.
I'm not worried that if somebody else does the outside decorations, they're not going to do it to my liking, and then I'm going to have to deal with it. So I would rather just take over and deal with it, deal with the high stress, right? Deal with all of that, and in the end, it'll be okay, right? Make myself a little crazy for a couple extra hours, and it will be okay. And everybody does that, whether it's like having to have everything perfect for the meal or everything wrapped perfectly, or we all go through that, I think. And, I often like to remind people of it's okay to want to have control, but are your expectations realistic?
Right.
And where are those expectations coming from?
That's a great point.
So are they coming from friends or family that are visiting you at the holidays? Are they coming from yourself?
Right.
Are they coming from your neighbor because they have every Christmas light that was available at Lowe's, right? Like, that's probably not realistic. Yeah, that's not realistic to try and compare your decorations to theirs.
Right.
What is realistic? If you don't have the time or the finances or even the ability to do that, what is realistic for you? That would help you feel like, you know what, we did decorate and I'm really happy with the outside of our house and how it looks.
Right. Stop the comparison.
Right, exactly. And what is realistic for you and your family and, what you do during this holiday season.
That is so true.
Often that expectation really gets us.
Yes.
Well, my mother-in-law expects this, that, and the other thing, or my friend,
my house can't look dark,
my floor needs to be perfect. Well, guess what? Everyone's gonna walk. Right, everyone's gonna walk on the floor anyway. Like, is it realistic to expect the floor to be spotless? No, it's okay.
Are people really going to notice the things that we notice?
No,
if there's a dust ball in the corner,
right?
I'm like, when people leave, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if anybody saw that.
No, and the reality is they're there to be with you and to celebrate.
The same thing.
Right, exactly. And you know what? They're probably happy to say they have a real house that's lived in, that's beautiful, that shows love and affection and caring. And you know what? I feel like I can take a deep breath and sit in the chair instead of like, oh my gosh, I can't sit down. That's too perfect, right?
Live in that house.
Like, that gives people a place to be themselves, right? And isn't that what we want?
Right, because they're probably thinking the same thing you're thinking.
Yes, exactly.
So what are some of the practical ways people can set boundaries or manage we just said expectations during the holidays to reduce the stress. So for instance, you're telling me all this and I'm like, am I going to listen? Am I going to go back? Am I going to be like, okay, Rachel, but I'm stressing out. So
I know.
What are some of tools or things that we can do?
Yeah, so some great boundaries is one of the best things we can do for ourselves. It's also very difficult. So boundaries protect ourselves and they protect the people around us. And so continuing to set boundaries and maintain them is going to be so important during this holiday time. So we already touched on one of them. Whatever your self-care routine is, make that the priority. So if you go to the gym X number times a week, maintain that boundary, right?
That's
Don't
true.
schedule something over it. Don't say, oh, I need to push it back, or I'll only go once this week, or, that other thing is more important.
Yeah,
No, keep that boundary,
right?
right? That's a way of prioritizing yourself and your self-care and what's important to you. And it's going to maintain you through this holiday season. And other things like looking at, what is going on in your life, the communication that's going on. How
Right.
can you say, this is really important to me that the house looks a certain way? So I feel like I really need to be in control, but I'm going to go ahead and delegate these 5 tasks to my family members to take it off of my plate. And these are things that I feel okay delegating because they're not maybe as important to me to have all the control. Keep that boundary, right? Let them do it. Even when it comes down to 1 hour before the party and you're like, oh my gosh, they didn't do it, or they didn't do it right the way that I thought I should have it done. Guess what? It's going to be okay at the end of the day, right? Keep that boundary. That's going to keep you going, right? So these simple little boundaries are going to help us through. But
so important.
They're so important.
Think about that when, with you saying it, and I'm like, okay, Jen, you're listening, pay attention to what she's saying, because you do, with my mom, I always wanted, because she always decorated for every holiday.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I got to decorate for every holiday because my mom does it. So when she would come over, I'd be like, does she approve? And her and I talked about this before too. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I have my house messy this. I'm like, your house always looks so nice, Mom. And, I got to remember, I've got boys and I've got 2 dogs.
Right.
And I've got, we live in our house.
Exactly.
If there is something on the floor or something, that's okay. You got to be okay with that.
Right.
And I think that when you're saying about boundaries, the next question is basically what we've already talked about. Many people feel pressure to make everything perfect. I hate that word perfect. Like, who came up with that word?
Yeah. What is perfect, right? What I think is perfect and what you think is perfect is so different. It's subjective. And that's one of the reasons why it doesn't work.
I've realized that, not going off on a tangent, but when I went to a different, because I've had 2 grad parties. I have one coming up in May. And I remember I went to somebody's grad party and they had simple stuff. They didn't have all the, do the boards, do this, do that. They just had food, drinks, music. And I thought, why don't I simplify my life?
Right.
Who am I trying? Who are we trying to impress when we're, when we're doing these things? The family, they just want good food.
Right.
They just want to sit and chit chat, and you realize that you are putting pressure on yourself for no reason.
Yeah. It's true. You're absolutely true. And like I said, I think we've talked about, that pressure often comes from expectations. Like, who's the expectation coming from? And is it realistic?
It's in our head, right?
And often, it's coming from us and it's not realistic. So no, I'm just
the
in my
little
house.
details that we think that people are looking at, they're not looking at.
Exactly.
I always had these themes where I had like a refreshment thing because my son was a baseball player, so I had popcorn and this. And then I go to other people's house. I'm like, they didn't have all that, and I'm like, but their graduation party was so nice. Like, it was fine. Like,
and how much time and effort and stress went into that, which I'm sure was beautiful, but
why?
Is it
who was
necessary?
It really for? It wasn't for my son. Right. It wasn't for me because I'm not going to eat all that gumball candies,
Right.
So
exactly.
It is true. You put so much emphasis on making everybody else happy.
Yeah.
Even during the holidays.
Well, and I think it comes down to assuming too, right? Well, I assume they need all those things to have a good time. Right. When in reality, it's just an assumption. And we don't need all those things. Like you said, just the simple stuff.
The main things.
Yeah.
You want good food. And you want to be together. And I feel like that's the holidays.
Exactly.
Now, we were talking about this too. For those who may be grieving.
Yeah.
Or feeling isolated this time of the year, what advice do you have for them to navigate those emotions and still find the meaning?
Yeah, so there is, I think, a lot of unsaid grief at this time of year. And I often find that people aren't sure how to, one, how to talk about it, but two, I think they're not sure that it's grief, because it's in these moments where they'll say, it was really hard for me to eat those cookies, you know, and it kind of just hit me because I realized after that was the cookie that my grandma made every Christmas, and I would help her, and that was my favorite thing, and it just, you know, took me a minute, right? It is a good thing.
It's the memories, and it is true. You're like, oh, I remember when I did this. I remember.
Yeah.
We have to stop thinking about, what we did in the past, and start really like focusing on, it's gonna, like, my Christmas this year is gonna be different. My daughter is on a cruise ship, and this is the first year I will not have her home.
Yeah.
And I said to my husband, jokingly, I'm putting up a black tree. I'm mourning.
Yeah, but it is.
I can't do that because I have two sons.
Yeah.
And so I have to still make the holidays, wonderful.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I know I'm going to be feeling that grief of like, oh my gosh, she's not here. She's, why? And she was saying the same thing, like, Mom, I don't know how I'm going to get through Christmas not seeing you.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for her too.
So, we're going to FaceTime and do those things. Yeah. But, people, they internalize it all. And I'm like, you know what? We talked about it. We know that it's going to be different.
Right.
But I said to her, maybe I'll leave the tree up until she gets home from the cruise.
I love that.
Like little things. I'll leave her presents right under the tree.
Yes. I love that idea.
We're going to see her in January.
Yeah. No, but I think that's great. I always tell people, if you can, find a way to honor those people, whether they are far away for the holiday, right? A lot of people, maybe your family is across the country, or maybe they're traveling, right? And you just can't be together. Or they're across the world, right? A lot of us have friends and family that just don't live close to us, that we can't celebrate with immediately. How can we still keep them in our minds and in our hearts? We can FaceTime with them. Maybe we
Technology's so great.
I know, it's so great.
Really
maybe
is.
We can send them a card, right? When was the last time you received a piece of mail that you got to open that was actually enjoyable to open, right?
Yes, instead of an email.
I know, an email. Or, it doesn't have to be anything big. But when it comes to the people that we're grieving that are maybe no longer here, what are some ways that we can honor them at this time of year?
Make that favorite recipe that you and your grandma made. Make it with somebody else this time.
Right. Or, have that cookie and take that moment to really remember her, or think about some really fond memories, right? And take that time to honor those people. Yes. And it's okay to be sad.
Right.
To be clear, it's okay to be sad. Yes. Because I think
my shoulders just went down when you said that, because it's true.
It is true. And I think we often try and push it down and push it aside and avoid it.
But we don't want people to see us like, oh, you feel like you're being selfish, or it's not about you. You're not thinking like, when I say that, people are like, oh my gosh, just because your daughter's performing on the, they see it as like, you should be celebrating, and I'm like, I get that, but my point of view might be different than somebody else. So you have to kind of take in your own perspective of what really is like a stressful time for you.
And it's valid. Like, acknowledge it. Take the moment to allow it to be there.
I love
Don't
that,
ignore it.
That is so true. I'm so glad you said that, because it really makes people feel like, if you do, or if you're depressed or you're upset about something, take that moment. Maybe not take the whole day or the whole week or the whole month, but take that moment to take it all in and just, reflect on the good.
Absolutely.
The good things that are coming out. You're so good. So why is it so important for people to seek support, whether through therapy, community groups, or trusted loved ones, instead of trying to manage it by themselves with the stress? Like, why is it so important for people to find outlets for people to feel better?
Yeah, so we can't do it alone.
It's true. It is true.
And
people need people.
Yeah, often we try. The thing is, we're social beings. And we need each other when it comes down to it. And often what happens when we're struggling is we tend to want to isolate, like you touched on earlier. We turn inward towards ourselves and we start to push those people away from us who are our support system. And that's what anxiety and depression and stress does to us. When in fact, that's when we need those people the most. And so, whether it's those people in our support system, or it's an unbiased ear, or it's a therapist, or it's somebody else that can be helpful to you,
Right.
a church community, someone at the library, it can be anybody. Truly, there are many, many places that you can go and seek understanding and seek community. It doesn't have to be a professional, but depending on how you're doing, maybe you would want to seek a professional, certainly. But, find somebody that you can talk to, because at the end of the day, I think there's so much power in knowing that what you're going through, you are never alone in that.
You know what,
ever.
You are. It's so funny when this is the first time we met, and when you're talking, I feel like I can hear you, because I say that. My tagline is, share your story, because someone else out there, feels like they're alone, but they can have the same story, or they could be going through the same thing.
Absolutely.
So yes, and mental health was such one of the big advocates for that, because I felt like, especially during COVID, but yes, I mean, seek friendship.
Absolutely.
Seek therapy. There are ways, like I guess with meditation, or maybe
coping skills. There's so many coping skills. Just breathing. Just simple breathing. Yeah, we're gonna finish each other's sentences by the end of this.
We are. It's so funny.
But just simple breathing. Just getting outside, even if it's not a big, nice sunny day, but just getting outside, grounding yourself. These are simple things anybody can do.
It's free.
Moving your body. I don't care if it's just walking up and down the hallway in your home or in your office. This doesn't need to be a full workout at the gym, but eating, breathing, moving, these are all such good things for you, and socializing that anybody can do. It doesn't take money or extra time. Like, these are all things that we do anyway, but just with a little bit of intention can be so good for us. And you don't have to go out and read a self-help book or learn a new strategy or anything else. This is not difficult, right? I think so often we're so put off because it's going to be hard and it's going to be scary and I don't know how, and it's going to take a lot of time and effort, and that's just not true.
And you touch on so many great points, and I feel like sometimes too, like for me, when I'm depressed, and say you want to talk to somebody about something, and you're like, all of a sudden they're like, well, hey, this is going on. It becomes a competition, like who's having the worst time or day. Do you see that sometimes, like when you are talking to some of your clients?
Or I hear like,
or patients.
Or I feel like I don't want to tell my friends and family because I feel like I'm burdening them. Right? Yes. I hear that so much. And I understand that. Right? But the truth is, that is never the case. Our friends and family and support systems want to be there for us. I often say, if that is how you feel or you think, right, think about it from the opposite perspective. If your friend or family member came to you and said, I need to talk about something, would you think, oh, they're a burden on me? No.
So true.
You would be there in a heartbeat and you would say, I'm here to listen to whatever it is that you have to say. And you would probably feel honored that they felt they could, be there for you. So try to think of it in that way. I know it's hard, but, we need to be there for each other. Yes.
We need each other. And it's, it's funny because sometimes we'll say, I've learned not to say, I know what you're going through. Because if I don't know what somebody's going through, if, I lost a parent or something like that, I'm not going to say to somebody, I know what you're going through.
Right.
Because, sometimes I think people
Yeah.
Or, if they are grieving, sometimes it's better to just say, I don't, I don't have words. Like,
Yeah,
things like that,
absolutely.
It's
Yes.
just, it's almost like we're learning too, as we grow,
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
this question I think we just answered, but what's one thing you wish everyone understood about taking care of their mental health, especially during the holidays? What's one thing? I mean, you've touched on so many great things. I don't even think there is one.
Well, I have said it, but I think this goes without saying. Like, I hope that everybody can understand that taking care of your mental health is not selfish. And that with that, self-care is not selfish.
Yes.
And we continue to try and fight the stigma of both, right? Through education and community involvement and everything that we can. But both are so important. And if you feel like you're struggling, it is not selfish to seek out help or talk to a friend or do some research, because it's just like your physical health.
Right.
It is going to help maintain you, right? Realistically, it's your brain, and that is a part of your physical health.
Right.
So we need to pay attention to that. And it is not selfish to take care of yourself.
I love that. That is so true. It is so true, because we feel like, oh, well, I can't sit on the couch and watch the Hallmark Channel all day.
Right.
Although I would love to.
We all would, right? We need to take that time for ourselves, no matter what it is. We need that time.
I enjoy that. And sometimes you do need that, because your brain, like you said, is going like, I got to get this done. You have like a checklist.
Yes.
And it's like, all right, I'm going to just watch mindless TV, or, get on my phone, or do whatever, whatever relaxes you. And, kind of just, like you said, recharge.
That is your recharge time.
Recharge,
and it's different for every single person. And we shouldn't feel guilty for needing that and doing that. That is going to make us a better person, right? For our friends, for our family, for ourselves. That's going to keep us going.
It's so true, because, I stress about making cookies.
Yes.
Because, and every time I do all this baking with my girlfriend, and I find nobody's eating them. So then I'm like, I just made all these cookies, and everybody's like, I'm watching my, especially.
I know.
They won't go for the cookies. And I thought, okay, what am I doing this year? Am I going to bake these cookies and nobody's going to eat them? Or should I just make two of the kids' favorites? It's just those kind of things. You feel like at Christmas time, we got to have cookies. We have to have Christmas cookies, and I have to bake them. Why can't we just buy them?
And you could,
I know.
But then you wonder, and so it all comes down to what is it for? What is it about? Right. Why am I doing it?
Right. Why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, you know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to make the cookies I like.
Yes, you should. Exactly.
I love gingerbread.
There you go. And that's exactly what you should do. Yes.
Mm-hmm. You know what?
And if others
Rachel gave me permission.
I do. I give everybody permission to do that. Everybody. And sometimes we do need that permission. And that's okay.
The guilt. I love that.
Yeah.
So for listeners who may already be feeling the weight of the season, what's one small thing they can do today to start feeling better? Like when I leave this room, Rachel, can you give me? Yes. Now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I got to get cookies done.
I know. So I'm a proponent for take it slow and be diligent, right? So yes, we have that never-ending list, especially at this time of the year. But can you look at your list? And once again, we go back to that realistic. What is realistic? Is it realistic to make all the cookies? If no one's eating them, do I need to take all that time and effort and everything else and then be disappointed when nobody eats them? And then do I freeze them? Do I give them away? Right? And it's this never-ending battle internally, right?
Yes.
Do I need to go through that this year? Even though cookies is going to be on your list. So how do you handle that, right? What is a good way to handle that? And try and think about each thing, right? Okay, the outdoor decorations. How can I tackle that? What's realistic? Do I need to put up every single light and every single bow and every single, right? what's realistic? Do I need help?
Right.
And if I do, who am I going to ask? When is it going to get done? Can I plan ahead? Right? How can I delegate? Can I be realistic about these things? So instead of looking at my list and going, oh my gosh, and getting overwhelmed and getting stressed, right? Pushing all my self-care aside and starting into those tasks.
Right.
Because that's what we do naturally. We say, okay, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get all the ingredients and I'm going to get all the things. And then, we start every task a little bit and we get overwhelmed because then it's never up to par and we feel even more stressed.
The worst is those people that go, oh, I'm already done shopping.
I know.
Oh, no, I don't. Yeah,
and you know what? You say, that's so good for you. I'm so happy for you. Yes. Would you
like to help me?
Right. Yes. I hope that you can enjoy the holiday season.
Right. I mean, this was, and what I really have been taking from this conversation is that we are doing it to ourselves.
Yeah.
We are mentally making ourselves stressed about things that really, like you said, who is it mattering to? Does it matter to you to make those cookies that people like that you don't like, but you're making it for them? Does that matter? No. Do things that, and like you said, you're not selfish. I love that you said that. Taking time for yourself.
Yeah, continue to do that self-care. As we get stressed, we actually need more when we tend to throw it out the window, right? That's going to save us in the end, and those little coping skills. Stop when you start to feel like, I can't do this anymore. I feel overwhelmed. Stop. Take some deep breaths. Step away, right? Give yourself 5 minutes. In the grand scheme of things, nothing is getting done in those 5 minutes. True. So take that time for you, right? Whatever that looks like. Give yourself those 5 minutes to de-escalate and get grounded so you can return to your family or your task or your work, whatever it may be, right? And so then you can move forward. But really, at the end of the day, what are the holidays about?
True. Family and friends.
Family and friends and being together and showing caring and affection and love, right? Yes. And be like that togetherness, right? That's it.
That's true.
It's not about a clean baseboard or the perfect present, right? Or all the cookies. It's not about those things, but we get so caught up in all those details and we forget about the true meaning, right?
Right. And we have to stop comparing ourselves and worried about, what's her name that does all the baking?
I don't know. Anybody.
I know. I think
any baker.
Don't compare yourself and don't worry about what they're doing. Just do what makes you happy.
Right.
I really think that was such a good message today.
Yeah.
Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
If
there's anything else that you would like to say that we didn't touch on? So you really shared a lot of your insight.
No, I don't think so. I think just, like I said, don't forget to take care of yourself during this time. You're focusing on everybody else and like I said, the perfect present and what everybody wants to eat. And remember to acknowledge your feelings. Like if you're having a hard day or if you're sad or if you're stressed or overwhelmed, pay attention to those feelings, right? Those are valid. Take a minute, acknowledge it. Do what you need to do for yourself before you move on.
And learn to say no.
Yes, that's setting boundaries.
Yes, I started saying no this year.
And don't feel guilty about it because often we do. We feel so guilty. But no, you can always say no. You can always honor yourself.
Right. You can't go to every Christmas party.
No, you can't.
The holidays can be an emotional roller coaster for many of us. I'm like, I feel like I'm getting therapy right here. I'm like, thank you, Rachel. Your advice, is such a helpful reminder that we don't have to go through it alone. And that's okay to slow down and take care of ourselves. And I love that message of self-care when you were saying that, Rachel. If you'd like to learn more about St. Clair's outpatient psychiatry and mental health services, or if you're interested in joining the monthly mental health support group led by Rachel and her colleagues, visit stclair.org/mental health or call 412-942-4860 for more information. this holiday season, remember, take care of yourself. It's about yourself. And thank you so much for sharing this with the listeners and viewers, because sometimes we need that person to tell us it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure, truly.
You. This was another episode on Spill with me, Jenny D. Take care.
Come spill with me. Come spill.